Nikola Tesla was an inventor and engineer who garnered over 300 patents in his lifetime. His most famous work, however, was the development of alternating current, which laid the foundation for futuristic technologies. Here are a few interesting pieces of trivia from the life of this famous scientist. A lightning storm was raging when Tesla was born, and apparently, the midwife deemed it to be a bad omen and said, "This child will be a child of darkness." Hearing this, his mother replied, "No, he will be a child of light." Tesla was a man of wit and humor, and he would indulge in funny correspondences with friends. For instance, he penned this letter to an acquaintance after dining with friend Rudyard Kipling. April 1st, 1901. My dear Mrs. Johnson, what is the matter with inkspiller Kipling? He actually dared to invite me to dine in an obscure hotel, where I would be sure to get hair and cockroaches in the soup. Yours truly, N. Tesla. Tesla was an inventor who realized the importance of renewable resources and even conducted research on how to utilize energy from earth and air. He was also a humanist who is described by Janel Korn as someone who did what he did for the sake of the betterment of mankind and wanted to give people an opportunity to have a better quality of life. Thus, he never seemed to care about monetary gain and never had enough money for his research. Here are a few inspirational quotes by the famous scientist Nikola Tesla. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. Instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction or any other willful effort of the brain is futile. My project was retarded by laws of nature. The world was not prepared for it. It was too far ahead of time, but the same laws will prevail in the end and make it a triumphal success. I am credited with being one of the hardest workers, and perhaps I am, if thought is the equivalent of labor, for I have devoted to it almost all of my waking hours. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment and merging of races, and we are still far from this blissful realization. It is not in the shallow, physical imitation of men that women will assert first their equality and later their superiority, but in the awakening of the intellect of women. One may feel a sudden wave of sadness and rake his brain for an explanation when he might have noticed that it was caused by a cloud cutting off the rays of the sun. The progressive development of man is vitally dependent on invention. It is the most important product of his creative brain. There is something within me that might be illusion, as it is often case with young delighted people, but if I would be fortunate to achieve some of my ideals, it would be on the behalf of the whole of humanity. The idea of atomic energy is illusionary, but it has taken so powerful a hold on the minds that although I have preached against it for 25 years, there are still some who believe it to be realizable. The carrying out into practice of a crude idea as is being generally done is, I hold, nothing but a waste of energy, money, and time. Every living being is an engine geared to the wheelwork of the universe, though seemingly affected only by its immediate surrounding. The sphere of external influence extends to infinite distance. Most certainly, some planets are not inhabited, but others are, and among these there must exist life under all conditions and phases of development. Most persons are so absorbed in the contemplation of the outside world that they are wholly oblivious to what is passing on within themselves. The gift of mental power comes from God, divine being, and if we concentrate our minds on that truth, we become in tune with this great power. My mother had taught me to seek all truth in the Bible. Invention is the most important product of man's creative brain. The ultimate purpose is the complete mastery of mind over the material world, the harnessing of human nature to human needs. All that was great in the past was ridiculed, condemned, combated, suppressed, only to emerge all the more powerfully, all the more triumphantly, from the struggle. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. You want to find the secrets of the universe. Think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Don't care that they stole my idea. I care that they don't have any of their own. Be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. Life is and will ever remain an equation, incapable of solution, but it contains certain known factors. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world. As I review the events of my past life, I realize how subtle are the influences that shape our destinies. My belief is firm in a law of compensation. The true rewards are ever in proportion to the labor and sacrifices made. One may feel a sudden wave of sadness and rake his brain for an explanation when he might have noticed that it was caused by a cloud cutting off the rays of the sun. Deficient observation is merely a form of ignorance and responsible for the many morbid notions and foolish ideas prevailing.
Thanks for watching.